Hi, this is Ralph, and in this video I want to go over how we can create a simple web page that demonstrates different samples of text, font sizes, font families, and perhaps some color combinations. So I've got my Visual Studio Code open, and I've got a blank file here, so I'm going to go ahead and create a really quick web page. There we go. So I've got my doc type definition, HTML tag with language attribute, head section with a meta char set and a title, and I'm going to be using a set of internal styles. Embedded styles are also called within the head section, and then I've got a body and closing HTML. So for this page, I really just want to have some passages of text, and it doesn't matter what kind of passages that I use, but I would enclose each of these passages in a paragraph tag so that I've got some stuff to work with. And some editors, let me test this one real quick. Here we go. So it does work here. Let me Control Z to undo. So in VS Code here, and this is also a feature in Sublime text if you use that one, but on some of them you can put in some filler text, lorem ipsum. So I type the word lorem and press my tab key, and it's going to give me a string of basically filler text, which is very popular with web developers, graphic designers, desktop publishers, and things like that. I would like to get some word wrap on here, so let me go ahead and turn on word wrap. There we go, Alt Z. So now I've got a little bit of text. And if I wrap this in a paragraph, I can go and copy and paste this and have several paragraphs. I'm going to, before I do that though, inside my opening paragraph tag, I'll go ahead and put in ID equals para1, and so that I can have several examples. Let me copy this, paste, 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 paste. I don't know how many I did. Let's see. So I'll have paragraph 2, paragraph 3, paragraph 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so I'm going to have 6 paragraphs on this page. Go ahead and save it. I'm just saving to my desktop here. Let me go ahead and pop this up in my browser. I'm using Chrome. And so we can see these are the default looks of my paragraphs of text. So back over to the code editor, I can now start to change things about these paragraphs. And I'm going to actually change all of them at first. So my first rule, I'm going to change all of my paragraphs. And I'm going to go ahead and set a thin border. I'll just do like 3 pixels solid gray, just so there's something to visualize there. I'm going to go ahead and set their widths to be about 400 pixels. And I'm going to do the font. No, I'll do the font size later. I'll do the font size different for different ones. So just by making this little change here, this is going to allow me to kind of visualize, all right, these are my 5 paragraphs. I'll zoom in just a shade, or 6 paragraphs. Now I can just start to decide how do I want these paragraphs to look. So I can start to style paragraph, para1, a little differently than all of the others. So for my paragraph 1, I'm going to go ahead and set the font family. And you notice in my little screen tips, when it pops up, ooh, it looks like I want to write font family. I can just press my tab right there and it'll finish it off for me. So I'm going to go ahead and do a font family. I'm going to use Verdana, I think. I'll do a Verdana and then a font size of 14 points. So I'd like to see some comparisons. And then while I'm here, I can paste, and I can go ahead and do a font style rule for paragraph 2 and paragraph 3. And out of curiosity, let me knock this down to 12 points and 10 points. I'm going to save that, jump back over to my browser, and refresh. And now I have kind of a more, and actually let me change my zoom to 100%. So kind of how would text appear to your visitor who's reading content on your page? Which one's easiest for you? I'm kind of okay with the 12, but the 14 is pretty nice and bold. In addition to changing font sizes, of course, there are things we can do about things like line height. So if my line height was, let's say, 1.2, let's see what that does for a second. A little bit closer together. What if I want them to get a little further apart? maybe a little bit too far apart. So there's all kinds of experimentations you can do with controlling font sizes. Of course, some of my fonts are still in the default times, but I can change font family, I can change font size, I can change line height. You can also change some colors. Let me do an experiment on my paragraph 2 where the background color is, let's see, I'm going to do a red background. This is going to be pretty ugly here. And I'll do a foreground color, which will be my text color. I think I'll do my text color is a shade of gray. That's a shade of gray. Let's see what we get here. Ooh, that's pretty rough. So we can start to tell by mixing different colors that gray on a dark red background is not a very reader-friendly color combination. But what if I changed my background to a light shade of gray and my text color was a very dark red? Perhaps now it's getting a little bit more palatable. So font sizes, font families, line heights, color combinations. You always want to think about the reader's point of view when they're looking at your web page. So that means you want to use styles. They're going to give you those best results. You can't choose from every color because there's only certain colors that would look best. You can't choose from every font size. There's only certain font size that would look best. Limit your choices. Go for simple, functional, readable before looking fancy or cool.